Armen and Levack, 104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports, and ESPN Buffalo Bills reporter Mike Rodak with us now. And Mike, more than anything, of course, you living in Buffalo, breathing the Buffalo Bills. The first question is, are you okay? Can you hear me, Mike?
I think so. I don't know if I can see out my front window, but I think I can hear you, yeah.
Holy crap, man. What has happened the last 24 hours up there, man?
It has just been ridiculous. I mean, you just talked to the Bills on a conference call, and even people who have been around that team for decades have said they've never seen this much snow. And, you know, this is an area that gets a ton of snow. This is Western New York. They're used to this, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Their minds are being blown out here just by the amount of snow. It's over 4 feet, probably another 1 to 2 feet by Friday. So I really don't know what happened. A tree just kind of fell over my front yard right now. So there you go.
What? A tree just fell over in your front yard?
Yeah, a tree just fell over. There's too much snow on it right as we're talking. There you go.
Holy smokes.
You're like ground zero of this thing, man.
Yeah.
What are the potential effects on the game against the Bills against the Jets this Sunday?
Well, for right now, the Bills are going full steam ahead at trying to clear that stadium. They said there's 220,000 tons of snow to move, and that's even before the lake band comes back down, and potentially they get another foot or two. So it might be wishful thinking on their part. They're basically hiring fans at $10 an hour and free game tickets. They want 500 fans to come down and shovel. Good luck with that. Right now, it's the NFL's call on when the game will be played and where the game will be played. And right now, the NFL is not really tipping their hand as to their decision or their thinking on that. So the Bills are just kind of going along with trying to clear the stadium.
Mike Rodak with Armen and Levack on 104.5 The Team. He's the ESPN Buffalo Bills reporter. If you don't follow him on Twitter, you're not a Bills fan. At Mike Rodak on Twitter. Mike, how's the traveling conditions in Buffalo right now? You said good luck with that getting to the stadium. How is it getting out of your driveway nonetheless?
I cannot get out of my apartment complex right now. The plow has not come since yesterday, so there's about 4 feet of snow in my parking lot. The main road that my apartment complex is right off of has about one lane open. There's 2 tractor trailers stranded right around the corner. So there's driving bans. The New York State Thruway, I think, is still closed. So there's a foot of snow on it at least. People can't really get around for the most part. Just plows and emergency vehicles. It's pretty much the status, and I don't think that's going to change for at least several more hours and days even at this point.
What are you hearing from the players? I've been watching Instagram, Twitter, and stuff. Guys like Sammy Watkins, who have never seen snow before, flipping out. Freddie Jackson looks pretty comfortable out there, but as a guy who's right there, what's your major takeaway from the way the players are dealing with this?
I think a lot of them who haven't, been around here or been with this team or, from the South or whatever the case may be, they're blown away by it. Anthony Dixon's the guy, went to Mississippi State. This is his first year at the Bills after 4 years to 49ers. So you can kind of imagine he probably hasn't seen this before, and he's been one of the most active on Twitter and Instagram. And obviously, like you said, Fred Jackson's been here for almost 10 years, and he just kind of, let's throw my kids in the snow. This is just another day for me. So that's sort of the feeling. It's the younger guys who've been from Florida or Alabama or Texas, or whatever the case may be. They're just their eyes are wide open at this, and some of the older guys are kind of it's a lot. It's a lot of snow. It's more than everybody's seen, but some of the older guys, Kyle Williams and Fred Jackson, and those types are just kind of rolling their eyes at some of these younger guys and what they think of it.
Yeah, I love Phillip Tanner, running back out of Middle Tennessee State. And, of course, I covered him his rookie season with the Dallas Cowboys. Nicest guy ever. Still walked around with his Middle Tennessee State backpack, the little blue backpack. And I just remember that. And, Mike, I saw him tweet this week, where am I right now? Mike, how scary is it? I mean, we know that, college basketball team, women's basketball team was stuck on a bus for 20 hours. I mean, are there fears about food, water, getting out of the house, going to the grocery store?
Yeah, I think, look, long term, it has to be. I mean, if there's more snow coming, and, again, it's something that people haven't really, not that people weren't expecting it, but people, I think, were a little bit caught by surprise at how much snow has really fallen. I think initial reports was 2 to 4 feet, and we're talking 5, 6, 7 feet at this point. So people are definitely a little bit caught off guard, and, sadly, there have been people who have passed away already, and, it's tough, and, it's going to happen, unfortunately, in these situations. People stranded, and people can't get out, or whatever the case may be, for ambulances and stuff. So it's scary. It's a serious situation, and at this point, the Bills are going to go ahead with playing the game, but you can easily see if they decide not to, why they would make that decision.
Well, in the midst of this serious situation, heroes are born like none other than head coach Doug Marrone.
Of course. Syracuse offensive lineman, former NFL offensive lineman, and apparently he was trying to drive down the thruway, get into the stadium yesterday with Pepper Johnson and Jim Schwartz apparently were with him, or I didn't get the exact story from him. He was a little bit all over the place there, but he got diverted off the thruway, kind of found his way into South Buffalo, which is more, urban neighborhood, and somebody was stuck. There was a nurse trying to get to a hospital, and he ended up, pushing the car out of the snowbank, and she was able to get where she needed to be, and ended up making the news as, Doug Marrone, the kind of burly offensive lineman, stepping in and saving the day. So he was, we talked to him today, and he was pretty moved by all this. And this is a guy who had been through Hurricane Katrina back when he was a coach in the Saints in '05, and moving that whole operation to Indianapolis, and playing home games on the road. And he said he didn't want to compare it to that. Obviously, that was a larger scale disaster, but he said this was similar in terms of the scope of how it affects the team.
Mike Rodak of ESPN on 104.5, The Team, your home for New York sports. Mike, you had mentioned that the Bills today had the conference call, and they talked about how the NFL is in full decision of where the game could be played. What's the thoughts on the destination? Is it in situations like this, is it common in the past where they could move the game to another part of the state or go into Canada? I mean, what's the feeling on where it could be played, or is there a feeling on that?
Well, the Bills weren't willing to say. There was a question about that, and they moved very quickly to say, oh, yeah, that's really in the NFL's hands, and we can't comment on that. The only situation I can really compare it to, at least my recent memory, would be Minnesota, say 4 years ago now, when the roof of the Metrodome collapsed, and they ended up playing in Minnesota Stadium, where they play full-time now. But, for a game or two, that was where they played. So, hypothetically, and this is not going off anything that I know for sure, but would Syracuse, would the Carrier Dome be an option, or God forbid, would ever play a game in Toronto? After everything that happened this summer and some of the blowback from the Bon Jovi situation, but I think Syracuse would be an option. I don't know if Pittsburgh's an option on an off day, or Cleveland, or another NFL stadium fairly close like that, Detroit. Those would be, I think, the closest, comparisons you can make.
Bob, Ford Field at Albany is pretty cool.
Ford Field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is there? You the Pagulas have got to kind of be thinking right now, like, well, maybe we should move the team.
At this point, right? You got to think at least those guys want to build a new stadium, and at this point, why not build a dome? After all this, build a dome, and you don't have this problem. So there you go.
Mike Rodak of ESPN covers the Buffalo Bills. All right, Mike, let me ask you, I know you have tons of places to go right now. In regards to the quarterback position and Kyle Orton being named the starter a couple days ago by Doug Marrone in the Buffalo Bills. They lose on Thursday Night Football. It was a punch to the gut. Their playoff chances have diminished greatly. Was this the right decision to stick with Kyle Orton at this point?
I think it is, and the stats, when you look at between EJ and Kyle Orton, they both have 500 winning percentages. They're both even. The Bills are scoring just about as many points as they are under Orton as they were under EJ Manuel. It's just about 20 or so, which isn't a lot, obviously. And QBR wise, which is a stat ESPN puts out there, Orton is a solid 10, 15 points higher than EJ. So I think that's something in Orton's corner. I think overall, this team is desperate, really, to win at least five of its last 6 games, if not run the table. And if you look at it, what EJ did last year and early this year, Kyle Orton still gives you the better chance to do that. As a veteran, he's not turning the ball over right now. He hasn't thrown an interception in a few games, which is one of few encouraging signs he's had right now. So, why there is definitely some temptation, I think, to turn back to EJ. It makes the most sense right now for the Bills to stick with Orton.
Is EJ still the quarterback of the future for the Buffalo Bills?
I really don't think so, and I think the company line right now is still, we never really wanted to start him in the first place. We wanted Kevin Cobb to start last year, which I don't really buy. I think they they were very close to starting E.J. Manuel last year. If Kevin Cobb didn't get that concussion, and if E.J. Manuel didn't have the knee surgery at the end of the preseason last year. So I think he was a starter last year, and I think this year he just didn't prove it. And, the talk of him sitting on the bench and learning, and I just don't think that really works in the NFL. History hasn't shown that. If you're a first-round pick and a quarterback, and you get benched, very, very rarely do you ever come back and become the full-time starter. So, next year, who knows who the coach is, who knows who the GM is, and who knows really what their opinion of E.J. Manuel will be next season.
Mike Rodak, ESPN Buffalo Bills reporter. So if E.J. Manuel, if he's not the future, is it crazy to say the Bills go out and get a quarterback in the first round of the draft next year?
Well, that would be nice. Unfortunately, they don't have a first-round pick in the draft next year because they traded up for Sammy Watkins. Yeah. So that's the classic, problem I think fans have with this team right now is that they might have panicked a little bit in trying to go out and get Sammy Watkins, and they only moved up 5 spots. And they gave up the first-round pick next year to do that. And you look at some of the other rookie receivers out there, Kelvin Benjamin and Mike Evans, who's still drafted ahead of 9, but they could have moved up only 2 spots for him. Brandon Cooks, Allen Robinson. There's a ton of rookie receivers this year putting up big numbers, and here the Bills went and gave up the house for Sammy Watkins, and now they don't have a first-round pick next year for a quarterback. That's really taking a lot of fans off because that was viewed as a pretty risky decision. So if they want a quarterback of the future, they're probably going to need to find it in the second round next year. So again, good luck with that.
Mike, I love you. I love you, actually. I love that you post every week. I'm just worried about you. I'm blurting out crazy things as I worry about you in the snow. Mike, I don't know why I said that, but I love that every week you put up where the Browns are going to take the Bills' first-round pick this season. Right now, it would be the 14th overall pick, and it would be if you go based on last year, a guy like Kyle Fuller. So I ask you, with the guy who's keeping this close attention on it, did they waste that trade to get Sammy Watkins?
I think so, and that really was my opinion. Really, right when I made the trade, the second I saw that on the screen, I was like, wow, that's a lot to give up. And Sammy Watkins has all the talent in the world. I don't think anybody's really disputing what he does and what he can bring to the table. It's more a matter of the cost and sort of the alternatives. What could have you done? What could have you done differently with that pick, with the first-round pick next year? Obviously, a quarterback you could have chosen, or could have traded down and picked up another pick, or there are other options than what the Bills did. I just think the option that they chose kind of reeked of desperation and sort of not really caring about where the team would be next year if E.J. Manuel didn't work out. And I think at this point we're starting to see that exact situation come up.
Mike Rodak of ESPN, Buffalo Bills reporter. Find him on Twitter at Mike Rodak. Mike, you mentioned the future of everybody is up for grabs. Don't know what direction the Pagulas are going to go. What's your feeling on the future of Doug Marrone in Buffalo after the season?
I think there's a certain range of wins, and I'm still trying to get my finger on it exactly, but I'd say if he goes 6-10 or 7-9, which would mean winning 1 or 2 games the rest of the way here, then I think he has a pretty good chance of being fired. I think if you go 8-8 or 9-7, which most likely with the AFC this year means you're not making the playoffs, I think he could be safe, or that's going to be a tough call just because that's it's at least a 2-game improvement from last year, so you're showing some progress there. So I think that would be sort of the gray area, 8-8 or 9-7, and then I think 10-6. Obviously, if they make the playoffs, 10-6, 11-5, he's a lock, slam dunk to be back. So it really depends on what they do these final 6 games, and it's gonna be tough. You have a game at Denver, a game at New England, game at home against Green Bay. You're gonna have whatever mess of a game this will be this weekend. You have to work through a lot of things here, even to get to 8 wins, 9 wins. So let's see what happens.
Mike, that doesn't seem likely. That doesn't. To get to 8 to 9 wins, like you put it. It sounds like there's a really good chance that Doug Marrone is out of Buffalo this year.
I would say there's definitely a chance. And Terry Pagula, when he took over, wasn't committing to him by any means. He was. It's sort of funny. The day he had his introductory press conference, he didn't want to talk about any of that. Didn't want to talk about the future Marrone or Whaley. He called it, quote, a happy day, which, of course, means that there could be a, quote, sad day coming at some point. So, I think that's still in the back of his mind, and sort of what happened with the Buffalo Sabres, too, I think would weigh on him. And I think a lot of people thought that he stayed too long with the regime there before firing them, I believe his third season as the owner of the Sabres. So, maybe he moves more quickly in this situation, just cleans house and gets, his people in there instead of people that, maybe, aren't as loyal to him in some respects.
I mean, there's a chance that this snowstorm cost Marone his job. He's got 3, quote-unquote winnable games, Jets, Browns, Raiders left on the schedule. This one being, at home, this should be his easiest win, and they may not win it because of a lack of preparation.
Yeah, that's the scary part about this for him. It's completely out of his control. He's at the facility now, but all the players are at home, and like you said, there could be zero time to practice this week, and really very minimal time to prepare for the Jets. So, this is probably the easiest game of your remaining 6. And if you lose this one, you're in pretty dire straits for the playoffs. And, by extension, that puts him in a pretty bad spot as well.
Great stuff, man, from Mike Rodak of ESPN. Mike, we read your stuff every single day at ESPN.com and, of course, on Twitter at Mike Rodak. Be careful, and I'm sorry about your tree.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about this. It just kind of fell over on me. What are you going to do?
I don't know what to do about this.
Well, you might need it for heat at some point, so just leave it there for now.
Bring it in, dry it off.
Yeah.
And if you
Set
get
it on fire.
Exactly. And if you get bored, call us back, man. We'll talk Buffalo Bills football anytime. Thanks for your time today. Good luck. Be safe. And hopefully you got a game to cover on Sunday, my friend.
Solid. Thanks for having me on.
Mike, you were great, man.
Thanks,
if you don't mind, we'll do it again in the future.
Definitely.
Thanks, man.